some tournaments will go to a city and they might get 100, 150. And they're like, you know what? I just don't want to come back. For us, I get 150. I now see that it's an area, or it's a region or city that we can build on. I'm not going to walk into every city and expect 300, 400, 500 competitors every single time. It's going to have the ups and downs. But the great thing about our company is that David's built it the way it is based off of us being debt free. We don't have to have an event that makes tons of money just to be able to keep doing events. He's built it to where we can sustain it the way it is and continue to grow it. We know that 2017 will have good events, going to have some small events. But ultimately, we know that there's going to be certain areas that we can build on. Denver is one of them. We had 140 competitors. We finished it at 12:30.
Hello and welcome to the Matrix BJJ podcast. I'm your host, Paul Tokizolu, and thanks for joining us today on the show. My guest today is Marcos Flores. Marcos is the director of tournaments for Grappling Industries in the United States of America. If you haven't heard of Grappling Industries, they've been kind of taking the tournament scene by storm the past few years. They've been seen as kind of like an alternative to the IBJJF, and they've become known for running really efficient and really, really good tournaments. I was really excited to have Marcos on the show to talk about what he's doing to make these tournaments run so smoothly and so successfully. Marcos is also a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu who has been involved in the industry and in the community for a long time. Please check out Grappling Industries and see about attending one of their events in the near future. And please welcome my guest, Marcos Flores. Marcos, what's up, man? Thanks a lot for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for reaching out and asking me to be on the show.
Like I was just saying before we got started, you guys, your hustle is really admirable. The amount of events that you guys have been doing. Can you tell us a little bit about like what it's like being on the grind, trying to get these tournaments going?
It's I got to say, it's an uphill battle a lot of times because not only are we scheduling events, I'm really mindful of the events around me too, like the other promoters, people that have been in that community for a while. I try to schedule around them. So not only am I worried about my events, I have to worry about other people's events. That way, number one, it allows us all to be successful. The last thing I want to do is hurt somebody else because down the road it can happen back to me. So of course I'm having to check all these different events, schedule ours at the right time. Then we have to staff them. We have to, I staff everything. I find the venues. I set everything up. Pretty much David's great. He's the backbone of the company, but I'm on the front lines. I'm the one having to set everything up and get everything ready. I'm there typically to run the event, set everything up, break it down, and come back home. So it's definitely a grind, but it's been rewarding. Because I've been in the jiu-jitsu community now for almost 11 years. I originally put on tournaments back in 2008 here in Florida. So I've been doing this a long time.
That's awesome, man. You bring a lot of experience to the table. What are some of the things you've learned over the 11 years and all the time you spent promoting tournaments? Like what were some of the early mistakes you made back in the day?
For me, my early mistakes is I gave away too much money and thinking that it was going to pay off. And what I mean by that, I did one where I gave away $3,500 to 200 pounds and over. Then I gave away $1,500 for under 200 pounds. So that was $5,000 in one event. It didn't pay off. The ROI just didn't make any sense. So I made the mistakes of giving out too much too early, instead of building up a base and then, slowly start giving away money or not give away as much. Because it's never going to – you give away $3,500, you're never going to recoup that in competitors, and you're definitely not going to recoup it in spectators. So that's one of the things that probably the biggest mistake that I made that I definitely will not make this time around.
For people who have never heard of Grappling Industries, first of all, if you've never heard of Grappling Industries – got to get with the times, man. Like, you guys are taking over a little bit. But can you briefly describe what sets you guys apart from other tournaments?
Our biggest thing that sets us apart is our round robin format. It's a modified round robin format to where everyone, depending on how many competitors, if you have up to 5 competitors, you'll go against everybody in your bracket. 6 competitors, you'll still go against 4, so there's one guy you won't go against. 6, 7, not only will you get a minimum of 4 matches if you have 7 people in your bracket, now we take the top 4 seeded people and put them into a playoff bracket. So now you're looking at a minimum of 6 matches if you get seeded in that top 4. That's huge.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and people are out there right now are paying $100, $120, $130 to compete in an event that's single elimination, where you might get a couple people in your one, maybe 2 matches, but if you lose your first match, you're out. You're done. You don't have any way to go against anybody else in that bracket. With us, if we get a 5-man bracket, I always use that 5-man bracket as an example. With a 5-man bracket, if you're that top bracket where that bye's at and you lose that match, you're out. Where the other 4 guys, the 3, they still have a chance to fight for third. Whereas if you're in that top one, you're out. With our 5-man bracket, win or lose, uses. Period. It's just the way it's set up. So that alone is what sets us apart. I guess you can say it's that more bang for your buck type mentality. And it's really good for white and blue belts. I think that's, for me, coming up, you need that experience in the tournament and being able to compete as much as you can. No one can give you as many matches as us at white and blue belt, period. You just can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I've been to so many tournaments like that where I lost in the first match and then that was it. And I paid $100 to get there and all sorts of stuff. It sucks. You feel like you're like, oh, well, I learned a lot, right? But at the same time, you're thinking, man, I would have liked to just fight a few more times.
Right, exactly. I know our last Chicago event, I was thinking of that. I think one of our divisions, I think it was white belt 155 to 170. I think we had a bracket of 36 people. So we broke it up into separate brackets, but everyone got a minimum of 4 matches, and then the top 4 seeded people got an additional 2. Now, if we have to break a tie, now you get another match. I've seen people have 7 matches just in one bracket alone, and that's your gi bracket. Now you can go into no gi, but you can also do absolute at your belt level. You don't have to qualify for absolute. You can sign up for the absolute ahead of time.
That's awesome. It's a great format.
You can do 3 brackets, a good sized tournament. I've had people actually sign up for 4 brackets total, and they one guy did 17 matches out of 4 brackets.
That's so much, man. That guy must have been exhausted.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's exhausting.
That's
people
awesome,
come in and don't understand what we do, how we do it, even though I made a video, even though it's on our website, and they're not prepared for the amount of matches that they're actually going to do. So that's the bad part, because I had a parent complain to me in Boca Raton here in Florida that his kid had too many matches. And I don't think anyone's ever heard that complaint ever at any tournament. And I finally heard it. It just didn't make any sense to me.
These kids getting so much experience. This is great. Poor kid was probably like, man, this Grappling Industries tournament, I'm getting my ass kicked. Dad, please.
Yeah, I don't know how he was doing. I just know at that point, at that part of the day, he had done 7 matches.
That's so many, man.
Yeah, I don't know. And we had the Chicago event we had in February. I had a parent stop me as they were walking out of the building, and it was a Sunday. We do some events on Sundays. We do some on Saturdays. It was 12:06. We had approximately at that Chicago tournament probably kids, over 200 kids and teens just in that one tournament.
Wow.
So this kid, he was probably around 9 or 10 years old. They were walking out. It was 12:06 p.m. He had 2 gold medals on him. He had 12 matches in his 2 between gi and no gi, and they were leaving the building at 12:06.
Wow.
You can't get that anywhere. Period. Yeah. To get 12 matches at any tournament, even if you go to a big one like Pan Am's or Worlds, honestly, you could probably have a bracket of over 100 and still not get 12 matches or even 6 matches. I think you might get maybe 6 to 7, but your bracket would have to be well over 100, and you would have to win every single match just to be able to get that many.
Yeah. One of the other things that's been so impressive to me just from watching your tournament from afar, I really want to compete. Whenever you guys come to Germany, I'll definitely be there. But like just seeing how quick you guys seem to run the tournament. Like you said, you know, you get people in and out of there really quick. How are you able to do that so well?
Well, we're pre-register only, so we require all the competitors. They have to sign up ahead of time. We don't do same-day registration. We don't do walk-up. We do have a bracketing team that by Thursday, typically Thursday afternoon, we have all the divisions done, all the brackets posted, and we have a schedule posted also. So we require our competitors only be there an hour prior before their bracket goes. So if they're scheduled to go at 12, you need to show up at 11. But not only do we run based off of that schedule, we're ahead. To give you an example, Chicago, we were 402 competitors. Last match finished at 5:15. I think it was DC, 291 competitors. Last match ended at approximately 2:30. I think was when the last match finished.
That's
Boston,
awesome.
Yeah, Boston was 274, and we were driving away. Everything loaded up on the truck at 4:15.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Usually,
but then we have our small events too. We went to Denver. It was an uphill battle. Denver, I think we had about 140 competitors. Not every single event's big. We have to build. That's the difference between us and other events. I wanted to bring that point up. Some tournaments will go to a city and they might get 100, 150, and they're like, you know what? I just don't want to come back. For us, I get 150. I now see that it's an area or it's a region or city that we can build on. I'm not going to walk into every city and expect 300, 400, 500 competitors every single time. It's going to have the ups and downs. But the great thing about our company is that David's built it the way it is based off of us being debt free. We don't have to have an event that makes tons of money just to be able to keep doing events. He's built it to where we can sustain it the way it is and continue to grow it. We know that 2017 will have good events, going to have some small events. But ultimately, we know that there's going to be certain areas that we can build on. Denver is one of them. We had 140 competitors. We finished it at 12:30. Still, 140 competitors for any event. Some people are happy with it, some people's not. But everybody at that event was done and out of there at 12:30. And that's something no one can do. But I know we can go back to Denver and build it. So for us, it's about building something as a whole. It's about building these cities and keep going back and show them so they know exactly what the way an event should be run. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Man, this is really impressive. I know some events last all day, into the night. I've seen some events here in Europe last until 12:30 in the morning. Like almost almost 1 a.m. They last literally all day.
For us to end at midnight, I'd say about 1,000, 1,100 competitors, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's pushing it, because the more competitors you have just means the way the divisions are. I don't even think we'd end at midnight with 1,000 competitors. I really don't. I just think we would be done probably about 10, 11 o'clock at the latest, even with 1,000 competitors.
Yeah, you guys seem to have such a great system set up. Was it always like this? What did you kind of learn in the beginning days of Grappling Industries about how to make things so efficient?
Well, that's the part that I wish I could really comment on. I mean, everything is secondhand because I came on board. The story is actually pretty good. I spoke to David Aguzzi, which is a president, CEO, boss man, whatever you want to call him. He built this from one little tournament near his hometown in Canada. I think it was almost 6 years ago. So when he started out, he was doing same-day regs. Then he went to pre-reg only. He's built it up from this point forward. And I think, and I'm seeing a lot of the good things that he's done based off of the way we are right now. I think the biggest thing is having to do pre-register, having to have a set schedule. But a lot of promoters, a lot of event coordinators don't like to do that because they don't want to give up that 20-30% competitors that they think they can get at the door. It's not a guarantee at all. We only did one walk-up registration, which was Florida. I've been in Florida for a long time, so I knew the market, but it proved me wrong. We only had maybe 30, 35 walk-ups, and that was it. And for us, it just didn't make sense. It proved to me that the system that we have, the pre-registration, have everything set. People come in, know exactly when they're going to go. It makes a short day for our staff. That's key. The key is just to get people in and get people out and make it the best experience. But David's built this company up. He started in Canada. Now, we have events in Canada. We have events in Australia. We're here in the U.S. Next year. We will have approximately 60 to 70 events in the U.S. And we have plans for Europe, that are in the works. So we'll full bore ahead, and hopefully soon we'll be in Germany. I'm hoping 2018 will be a good year.
Hey man, I'm waiting. I'll be at your first tournament in Germany for sure. I think you're gonna have a great time here in Europe. People love to compete. They're all about it.
Yeah, Europe is really, it's one of, the biggest tournament typically now is the Europeans. So, IBJJF Europeans.
Yeah.
So, it's a huge market out there that, people don't mind traveling, which is key. As long as you put on a good event, which when it comes to time, matches, nobody rivals us there. We haven't been around for 20 plus years that IBJJF has. We're building our name, and we know it'll get to a point to where we can rival them. In 2018, we will be the second largest tournament system in the world. They're the only one that's going to be larger than us will be IBJJF. That's it, period.
It's so cool, man. It's so cool to just watch you guys. I've just been watching from social media, just for like a couple years now, and it's really impressive. So congrats to you and to David and everyone. It's really cool to see, man. And I know you guys are going to take over even more than you already have. People are already talking about you guys as like, number 2 or number 3 from what I've heard, just talking to people and stuff like that. I don't know how, is there like an official ranking of which tournament is the biggest? I'm not really sure.
I don't know, to be honest with you. No one, when it comes to actual events now, number 1 has always been IBJJF. We all agree on that, good or bad. It is what it is. Naga for a long time was number 2. But if you are paying attention to Naga, I think they're decreasing in size of events, and they're decreasing in the amount of events that they're doing per year. It's just not the same, and the difference, I think the difference with us compared to like a Naga is that we're not afraid to reinvest back into the tournaments and doing everything we can to make them better. And I'll use that as an example, is that as long as Naga's been around, you think they would have perfected it by now.
Yeah.
Some of the longest events that people have gone through is a Naga event. They've been there past midnight, still to this day.
Yep.
And I would think after 20 years, you would have this down to a perfection. In the short time that we've been around, which is close to 6, we've been able to perfect what we do. Like I say, I don't think anyone, when it comes to matches and amount of time that it takes for us to put on an event, nobody's better than we are. They're just not. And now we're just going to add events. We'll have in 2018, we'll have over 100 events that we'll do.
So cool, man. How big is your team these days? Probably pretty big, right?
No,
really?
David's the president. I'm the USA director of tournaments here for the US, so I'm in charge of all the US. He's in charge of Canada, and then we have Ben, which is over in Australia. We have a full-time driver that drives for us here in the US. Right now he drives our truck and trailer, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah, I take
Wow.
it back. And we have Seth now. We just picked up another employee. He's actually he's doing our promo tours. So what we do a little bit different. I did it myself. Me and my son actually went out in December and January. We did promo tours. So we'd go to a city that we were going to actually have a tournament in, and we would actually go and train and talk to all the professors and talk to the people at the gym about our upcoming event. So in December and January, I went to Pittsburgh, I went to Dallas, I went to Denver, I went to Boston, I went to DC. No, I didn't go to DC. Yeah, those are the cities. And I went to Columbus, Ohio. Those are the places that I visited. And you really just got it out there about us. So they can meet us, they can see me, talk to me, see that I'm just not somebody putting on events, that this is what I do. I train, I'm a black belt. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm just like they are. I started out as a competitor, competed a lot. So I know what people look for, and which has given me that experience. I've been reffing now for an event since 2008. So, it's been almost 10 years that I've been reffing. I've ref for pretty much every major organization out there, which took me to where I'm at now with David, because originally I was supposed to ref for him in Florida last year. That's how we met. That's how we started talking.
Oh, cool.
And ultimately, we hit it off, was able to keep talking, this and that. And prior to me coming on board in November, for probably over a year, he was looking for somebody to help him expand into the U.S. And when I say help, he could have did it on his own, but he needed somebody else to actually assist, I guess you could say. Someone that knew the U.S.
Yeah.
There's a difference between Canada and the U.S. There's certain things you can do here that you can't do in Canada and vice versa.
Yeah. Perfect.
So, certain days of the year you don't want to do an event on, Memorial Day, Labor Day weekend's not good, Thanksgiving time. So there's different holidays that, he wasn't aware of. That you definitely don't want to do events on. And I learned the hard way. I did an event Memorial Day weekend back in 2009. Was a horrible event. It's just you can't do that stuff. So that's why he brought me on board in November, and it's been a ride ever since. And we're just gonna keep continuing to grow. Nothing's gonna stop us. So
that's so cool, man. How do you recruit referees and people to help you set up and tear down and stuff like that? Do you just get people from the local area?
Yeah, I hire from local. The reason being, a lot of times, number one, it does help with cost. Let's I don't sugarcoat that. It helps with our overhead. Because if you try to fly people in, put them up in a hotel, it can get pretty expensive. But not only that, being that I started reffing a long time ago, I always reached out to these organizations and wanted to ref. So I know what it's like to be a ref that's looking for work. So I want to be able to put money back into that community where we're at. Whatever city it is, I still want those refs to be able to work. Some of the cities we go to, they don't have a lot of events. So they don't have a chance to really make money where others do. So either one, they reach out to me, or two, I reach out to different professors. We'll put a post on our social media. We're looking for this or that. In all reality, I'm not going to lie, a lot of times I staff my event based off of people reaching out. We had when we were in Columbus, Ohio, Dave Freetag, which he's with GF Team up there at Grove City, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's like, hey, I can staff your entire event. Just tell me what you need and I'll get it for you. Which was great. You got people like that want to make sure your event runs well because they see what you do and they want it to run smooth. So they're willing to help. That's this community, the jiu-jitsu community is so big, yet it's so small.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I've met a lot of really good people along the way just doing these events. And it's on top of all the people that I've met for almost the last 11 years, just in this, training, they're going to different schools, being able to travel, especially doing those promo tours was the funnest for me because I was training, I'm 43 years old, but we were doing, 6, 7 training sessions in 48 hours, visiting all these different schools. So it was a toll on the body, but it was fun to really meet all these people. And I still talk to some of them, that I met. And, that's a good thing about all this is just meeting some really good people along the way.
I think what separates you guys from a lot of these other tournaments is the the groundwork you're doing. Like, I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I don't think the other promotions are going around and, you know, going all the different schools and actually rolling with everyone and talking to people and meeting everyone. And it's, you know, I think part of it is like you guys are reaching out. And I think a lot of tournaments, like especially IBJJF perhaps, they kind of expect that people are going to sign up, you know?
Right. They don't even make posters.
No.
If you notice, they post it on their website and that's it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, if we at some point could it get to that? Of course. I don't think I would ever want it to get to that point. You know, I would still want to be able to reach out. I still want to, you know, it's funny. This is the U.S. and he was, you know, him, his mom, his girlfriend, they would stuff envelopes with posters. Now that's what I do. You know, me and my daughter, you know, I pay her per city. She stuffs envelopes. She puts posters in them. I mail them out. You know, everything's done grassroots style.
It's awesome.
You know, it's, you know, I make calls to the gyms. You know, I make calls. Hey, did you receive a poster? You know, is there anyone I should speak? You know, you got to reach out to these people. They, you know, it can be so impersonal, just events alone, because there's some events out there to where people that actually are in charge of events don't even train. You know, I'm not going to name names, but you know, there's people out there that literally haven't even taken a class, but are running a tournament. And I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't either, man.
Everyone that we employ has been training David has been training now 14 to 15 years. He started as a teenager.
Wow.
I've been training now for almost 11. Adam Sawyer, which is our driver, he's been training now for 20 years. And then Seth, he has a Canadian last name, French Canadian, I think, so I can't pronounce it. Seth's been training for like 7-8 years, you know. So everyone that works with us or for us is in this community.
Yeah.
And that's the only way. I wouldn't hire anyone unless they train. Or, period. I just wouldn't. It just doesn't make any sense to me because that's not what this company is about. This is about people that compete, people that roll, people that stay on the mats, that train, are just putting on events. That's what we do.
Yeah, and you guys are doing it, some really cool marketing, I think. You know, like you're bringing out super fights, like you had Gordon versus Keenan and events like that. You know, you got a really cool poster for every event. You know, you make cool videos. Like, I think you guys are doing everything right. You're making people want to come to these shows, or to these tournaments rather. You know, like other people just aren't doing that. Maybe they did in the beginning, but I think that you guys are getting ahead because of that work. And it's really cool.
We're evolving. We're evolving every day. You know, we're always thinking like, what can we do better, or this or that. I mean, you know, what people don't understand is that we've had, you know, because I have relationships with other promoters, you know, I mean, being that I've ref for as long as I have relationships with them. There's a lot of promoters out there that are scared to do the rate of growth that we're trying to do ourselves. It's just not in their DNA to make that type of growth. I mean, you know, we have from July 16th until December 16th, we have 22 shows scheduled. That's 22. But by the beginning of September, we're going to have a whole second production. So what people don't realize is that when I say production, we're going to have another truck, we're going to have another trailer, we're going to have all the production, the mats, everything, where we're now be able to put 2 shows on in the United States the same day. So there's nothing stopping us from doing. Technically, we could do 40 shows just in the second half of the year if we wanted to. Which, in all reality, we probably might end up doing that, to be honest with you. Knowing David and knowing me, you know, that way we can have events in the West Coast and East Coast on the same day. And there's not many events or many promotions that can do that.
No.
You know, there's 2 that I know of now 3, maybe 2 that do that.
Yeah, and
which is IBJJF and Naga. They're the only ones that have multiple days, same day, in 2 different cities in the U.S.
So cool, man. I mean, congrats to you and to David. Like, you guys are killing it, for sure. What have you learned about the BJJ community from working for Grappling Industries?
Oh, I don't know. That's actually a good question. Yet I don't know. I don't think there's really anything that I've learned. I mean, I think I've just solidified everything that I thought. I don't think it's anything that I've learned. I like I said, I've been doing this a long time. Nothing has surprised me, I guess you could say. I guess that's the biggest thing is that nothing has surprised me. Everything that I thought would happen either happened, and if it didn't, it wasn't, it didn't. But it's not anything specific that I've learned. I just know that it's not the growth rate for us is fast, but would I love to have 300, 400 person tournaments every weekend? Of course. Is it going to happen? No. But the thing is that people have to understand we're not going to give up on the city just because the first turnout wasn't good. We'd have to do it a few times and really see that maybe this is a market that just can't support an event continuously all the time. And so for me, I've learned that our growth will be fast, yet the competitors could end up being slow. They just don't, know. We're only right now, I can say this to the casual jiu-jitsu person, we're not well known. We're not. We're brand new here in the U.S. To the die-hard jiu-jitsu person, we're well known. So it's a matter of us continuing to do what we do and get to that casual white belt or that casual blue belt that hasn't been doing it for very long, that does a few classes but likes to compete here and there. That's the key. We for you and other people that I've talked to, that they've known about us, but a lot of people haven't. So that's the uphill battle that we're having now, is make sure that everybody knows about us.
Yeah, man. I think you're gonna get there. I think you'll get there soon. I mean, it's hard not to when you're putting on events in like every single city. People are gonna find out.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And not everyone's going to be happy. Yeah, I know that. Not everyone's happy. But as long as I know that I put on a good event, the few complaints that people have, I listen to them. A lot of them aren't valid, but I listen to them. But all in all, as long as I know I put on a good event and the overwhelming feedback is it was good, I'm happy. Yeah. Whether it's 150 or whether it's 350, as long as I know that it was a good event and we did everything we could to make it good, I'm happy. It's not, don't get me wrong. Everyone does tournaments. Everyone puts them on to make money. It is what it is. But for us, the money isn't driving what we're doing. It's the good events, knowing that if we put on a good event, if we have a good product, the money will fall into place. That's going to be there. Yeah. We don't concentrate on that because we don't have, I don't have to have a great event this weekend in Chicago to make sure that we can do another event the following week. It doesn't work that way for us. We're able to put on these events and fund multiple, because even though I'm, almost every single event that I have scheduled up until November 18th, every venue secured. I don't know if you're familiar with securing venues, but you got deposits, you have insurance. I have deposits and insurance covered on every event up until November. Not many places can say that they do that or even have that.
That's impressive. It's awesome. Marcos, you're an OG.
I fell into this pretty well. I got lucky with this. Not gonna lie. It was it's what I've been wanting to do, what I've thought about doing, and this was a perfect, it was a perfect storm at the right time. I've been with David now since, like I said, my official start date was probably in October. I wasn't full time. Things worked out the right way, and I ended up being full time October 31st. So and it's to many years. Me and David, it's so funny. We're like opposites, but we get along so well.
That's awesome.
And that's the key. And I tease him too. What's funny is that he's always wanted. Let me back up a little bit. Everyone always thinks they're my events. Everywhere we go, it's hilarious. It's an inside joke of all of us. They always think it's my events, and I tease him about it. But he said, that's what he's always wanted. He's always wanted someone that can take charge and honestly, where he can sit in the back and just do what he needs to do and have somebody out front. That's more of the the spokesman for the company. And here in the U.S., it's been that way, but I tease them because people always come to me and say, it's your great event. We've had refs that thought I was the owner, and I'm like, no, I'm not the owner. David's the owner. But the good thing is that we're building something together now. That's at some point, I think in the near future, is going to be big. We still got a lot more announcements that are coming that we can't just release yet. But pretty soon, we're going to be on more continents than we are right now.
That's awesome.
Which is
so cool.
Which is going to be exciting.
It's so cool. Antarctic. I can see it now. Grappling Industries, Arctic Circle.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, one thing is that I could probably announce this. I haven't really announced it. It's been said here and there, but we've been contracted. We're now going to in Columbus, Ohio. It could grow to multiple countries, but next year in March, we're actually going to be the hosting tournament for the Arnolds, which is
that's so cool.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Arnolds.
Oh, yeah.
They used to get tournaments that were near 1,000, maybe over 1,000. They did the Gracie Nationals at the Arnolds for many, many years. They've changed hands a little bit. It's kind of declined. It's actually not a little. It's declined considerably over the last few years. Now they're making a change. So they contacted us. So we'll definitely be at the Arnolds next year here in the U.S. And maybe Australia and some of the other countries also. But we're going to start with the U.S. first.
Awesome.
And then see how that goes.
Congrats. That's awesome. The Arnold's is a huge event. That attracts like so many people from, all sorts of sports everywhere, like strongman, powerlifting, weightlifting, like bodybuilding, obviously.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
awesome,
It's
man.
huge. I mean, they rent out just in the convention center there in Columbus, Ohio. They rent out 1.2 million square feet, and then they have 10 buildings they rent out at the Expo Center, which is not too far away. That's just that. So for us, it's huge. I mean, we're going to build it. It's not going to turn into a 1,000-person event, but we can bring it back to what it used to be. Everybody used to want to go to the Gracie Nationals in Columbus, Ohio. I mean, It was you talk to anyone, even David. David competed at the Gracie Nationals way back when. So he's familiar with it, but it's just a matter of growing it and bringing that name back and bringing that prestige back to the Arnolds, because it's a prestigious event, one of the largest expos in the world. And we're going to be able to bring it back next year.
That's so cool, because one of the reasons that's so cool is like for people who have never heard of the Arnolds, it's like obviously created by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Was it created by him or like in honor of him?
Kind of both. I mean, it was there's a gentleman. To be honest with you, I can't remember his name now. He's the one that's actually in charge of it. Basically, his right hand man. So it's been going on for a lot of years now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's in South Africa. It's in Australia. I think they have it in Spain. It's in a lot of different countries. So, I mean, it's building. The amount of revenue and the amount of people that go through that event over those 3 days is huge.
Yeah. And the thing is people go to that event looking for new sports or like new weird fringe athletics, so like that's such a great, people who've never heard of jiu-jitsu or never seen it are going to come to that event and they're going to see Grappling Industries as their like intro to jiu-jitsu. That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll be able to bring it back because it just wasn't, that prestigious event wasn't taken care of for the last few years. So we'll be able to bring it in there and really show everyone that shows up this is exactly what should be here. Bring it back to the old Gracie Nationals prestige that used to be. Because there's so many events. I mean, that's the uphill battle. Is for us is just so many events are all the time.
Yeah.
And the problem is that people sometimes have to figure out, okay, do I go to this one or do I go to that one? So once we end 2017, I'm only going to be worried about IBJJF. That's the only events that I'm ever going to be worried about. It doesn't make any sense for me to schedule something a week away from an IBJJF event. It just doesn't, especially in that city. But after 2017, I'm not going to be worried about anyone dropping in on us because it's already happened. I've had tournaments drop in a week from us. after my schedule was out. So, it happens. But I know come 2018, I'm not going to worry about it anymore because people are now going to know what we have, the product that we have, and there's no reason why they would choose another event over us.
Yeah.
Once they do our event, there's just no reason why they wouldn't choose ours over anybody else's.
Yeah, it runs so smoothly. You get so many fights. You get to use techniques. You get to use all the techniques in jiu-jitsu versus.
Yes.
We haven't even talked about that
bring
yet.
That up. The new rule set.
Yeah, man.
Rule set we came out with this year. We opened up, with our slogan, making jiu-jitsu great again. Because back when I started, all these submissions were legal. Especially for kids. That's crazy. I mean, if you go through and look at the IBJJF rule set for kids, they basically can only rear naked choke and armbar.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
I mean, you can triangle, but you can't pull on the back of the head. They took away everything. So we gave that all back to the kids. They can do every submission above the waist. They can even do Ezekiel's, which is one of the most basic chokes that kids learn and need to use. So we've given it all back, which is key. And wide open for blue and purple belts. Jiu-jitsu has evolved.
Yeah.
Leg locks has been around. They've been around for a long time. I was learning leg locks in the gi back in 2006 and 2007. We would heel hook people in the gi. Would we finish it? No. Catch and release. You need to know how to do it so you can defend it. So now it's evolved so much for leg lockers that, for blue and purples, we gave them toe holds, knee bars, calf slicers, bicep slicers. They can do scissor takedowns. So this is stuff that has been around for such a long time that people need to that want to be able to do.
Yeah.
And then brown and blacks, honestly, the only thing they can't do is slam to get out of a submission or slam if they're in somebody's guard. And really, that's it. Fish hook, you can't fish hook. But you can neck crank. You can do a twister. You can do all the leg submissions, scissor takedowns, and all of this is in the gi. And then, of course, advanced no gi follows the same rule set.
Of course. It's awesome that you guys have the same for gi and no gi. I think that's so important.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I'm not going to lie. We've had some pushback with the heel hook and the gi, but I think people don't understand it's so much easier to defend a heel hook in the gi than it is without the gi.
Yeah.
And we've only had it happen at one event, period. Out of all the events we've had so far this year, there's only been one hook heel hook via, as a submission one time. So even though we implemented these new rules, we've had it happen one time. We did have a twister happen in Boston, and that was in no-gi though. But, really the biggest thing, and of course white belts, they can do straight ankles like they can in IBJJF, but we gave them wrist locks. So they can actually do wrist locks also. Yeah. Which that's my old school. I love wrist locks. So I'm like, they need to be able to do it.
Yeah, man. Wrist locks they're not that dangerous.
They hurt. They can hurt. But,
yeah.
It's very rare that you're going to break somebody's wrist.
The other thing is, I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it all just goes back to ignorance. Like, you just need to know when to tap. Like with a heel hook. Yeah. Heel hook is not, it's obviously a dangerous submission, but the Kimura is also a ridiculously dangerous submission.
Absolutely.
But the difference between the two of them is just people know when to tap with a Kimura because they're taught the Kimura on day one. Whereas heel hook, they're like, oh, heel hooks are sacred. Don't teach it till a brown belt. And then they're like, they don't know when to tap. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, but even now, though, when people enter into any competition, if they've been training typically for more than 3 years, sometimes it's as high as 5, they're in the advanced division. Yeah. Advanced can do heel hooks. So all these people are learning them, and you still need to be able to learn to defend them. If you have a good defense, which I'll use who was Leandro Lowe. Anytime that the two top guys, Pena, when they go against Gordon Ryan in no-gi, if you notice, they didn't get heel hooked because they have good defense. They know how to defend it. They're not going for it, but they know how to defend the leg locks. If you know how to defend it, you shouldn't be worried. Yeah. If you get caught, that means you got caught. If you have terrible defense, then be worried. Be worried. And probably the one that we got the most pushback on, which honestly I hate to say is probably one of the stupidest reasons to push back, was that we allow everybody, regardless of belt rank, to jump full guard. We've gotten a lot of pushback on that. But once again, I will always go back when I started in 2006. One of the exercises that we did as warm-ups was jumping full guard, doing some sit-ups, dropping, the other guy doing the exact same thing back to us. It was actually a warm-up. And it taught you, number one, how to catch people whenever they are jumping full guard. There's schools out there that their kids are taught from when they first start how to jump full guard. It's just lack of doing it, and it's IBJJF taking over a lot of the rule sets. That's gotten a lot of schools to get away from the actual art itself. You need to teach everything. They need to know everything. If you use it, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. But at least you know it. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. Because I'm 43 years old. I'm slow. I don't do all this barambolos. I don't go inverted. I don't do all of that stuff. Now, do I know it? Yeah. I'm not going to use it. But knowing it will allow you to defend it, and if you ever do need it, it's there. Yeah. And that's the way we need to teach our kids from this point forward is teach them everything. That way they know. And then when it comes time, they'll implement it if they want to. If they don't want to, they don't have to, but at least they'll know it.
Yeah, exactly. Marcos,
trust me, I toe hold our kids at my school all the time. I'll knee bar them, whatever. I won't hurt them, but they're going to, they know, oh, wait a minute, I need a tap now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'll wrist lock them. I don't care. Yeah. We at our school, I implemented a rule. If you get wrist locked, you owe 10 burpees. When I first did it, burpees were everywhere. Now we rarely see anybody do burpees because now they're able to defend it. And that's, for me, that's the hidden art, is that wrist lock. Love it.
You made me want to learn some more wrist locks. I know like a few.
Absolutely. You need to. They're always there. They're everywhere. And even if you don't finish with them, you grab somebody's wrist, they just forgot everything that they were about to do for the next 10 moves. Yeah. They're just lost because they're so worried about you grabbing their wrist again.
Something I've tried to do lately is like let's say someone grabs you and they're going for a heel hook, and usually you grab their arm to block the heel hook, because you don't want them to grab their hands together. So I used to just grab their hand and hold on, but now I grab their hand and I go for a wrist lock, and it works like a little bit better, like even if I don't finish the wrist lock, it causes them to stop and defend and think about it. You can just go for it. Yeah. So
I actually, I was a blue belt, and I was training here in a place with a guy named David Vieira. Mm-hmm. And he's now in Brazil. And we were doing ankle locks. And he pulled me to the side. He's like, listen, he goes, Marcos, he goes, this is how you defend an ankle lock. Just a straight ankle. He's like, they're going to grab you here. He goes, what I want you to do is I want you to take your big toe and shove it in their ass.
Yes.
He's like, they'll let
the dirty toe. The dirty toe.
And to this day, like there's a buddy of mine I've been training with since white belts. He knows that if he goes for ankle, my toe starts to go, he'll just let go. Like I just had to move my opposite leg a little bit. He just lets go.
Man, that's so funny.
He's a world-class black belt teaching me that. It was hilarious. And I've used it to this day. If it happens, it's there. Why not use it?
It's so funny, man, because Dean Lister, I got our academy is under Dean. And Dean comes out and teaches seminars pretty regularly here, and he always teaches the defense to the dirty toe. And he always he talks about it every seminar. He's like, watch out for the dirty toe. You'll find some people who would do this to you. Here's what you do to defend it. And he shows like a different way of using your legs, stuff like that. So you block the dirty toe. That's so funny.
You put your foot on their knee, on the opposite knee, and kind of push their leg away. Yep. They can't get their toe in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, that's so funny. Marcos, you're a gangster. You're dirty toeing people, wrist locking them. It's prison rules, Marcos.
Yeah, prison rules. You have to. I'm old. I'm old. My body don't move. But, I've always been slow. That's always been there. So I've always been slow. So I've always had to adjust my game. And I started late. I've been doing this for almost 11 years, but I started at 32 years old. And back then, even in 2006. There wasn't a master's division, really. It was always adult. So you're 32 up until 40. I was always having to go with adults because there are just never that many big divisions for masters, or even none at all. So I've always had to adjust my game based off of being old and slow. And, I got to find these little tricks that will allow me to come out on top.
Yeah.
Luckily, they've worked for me. I'm a black belt. Now, there's different levels of black belts. You got world-class black belts, and which I found out on these trips that the promo tours that I did. There's some really I had the honor a few weeks ago, Vito Oliveira, GF team, and that's we're about the same size, but there's a different level. That's just a whole nother level, and I'm feeling them, not barely moving, but I couldn't really do anything. They say sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. I was a nail that day, but it was the best. It was the best feeling in the world. It's great to get beat up.
Yeah, man.
Once in a while.
I got to roll with Oliver Taza last night. Actually, he's visiting.
Oh, wow, okay.
He's visiting here in Germany, and I was a nail all day.
Yeah, he's really up and coming. He's done some of our events. He won our. You saw him at EBI. The only reason that he was at EBI is that we had an EBI qualifier at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So he won that division, and we actually sent him down and got a spot on EBI.
That's so cool, man. I watched that fight. That was a great fight that he had to win that. That was against John Battle, right? Was that his name? John.
Yeah, John Battle. And I think before that, I can't pronounce his name. It was a really good black belt out of DC. He's head of the Beta Academy. I can't pronounce his name, so I don't want to butcher it. But he was there also. So Oliver is a purple. He beat some really good black belts. I mean, these are no slouches that he beat. So it's same thing. He just won. He just beat Josh Hayden. In Memphis. So he's that was impressive. He's doing really well. So hopefully, I'm trying to get him to do another one of our events, because one thing that we're doing, which we didn't even talk about, we have our absolute. So instead of giving away money, let's just say instead of having an absolute division where someone wants $1,000 or $500 or even doing super fights, we're actually giving away everyone that wins our absolutes in the cities that we're doing them, and we're going to do a minimum of 50. Where the winner receives airfare, hotel, and free entry into our worlds in January of 2018.
Yeah.
And then the grand prize for that is $5,000 for a man, and then a $5,000 for a woman. So we're giving away $10,000 at that event at least. If we get a sponsor, then we'll just actually give it to the competitor.
Oh, great.
Also, so we're going to fly, and that's Australia, Canada, and the U.S.
That's awesome.
So
man.
we're flying people from Australia to L.A. to be there for a couple days to be able to chance to win.
It's an expensive flight, man. Thanks for doing that for the community. That's awesome.
Yeah, that comes. That's something that we're paying for as a whole. Unlike other events, every event we put that in our budget. So we're not having to come up with 30, 40 grand at one month. Every event, we're personally taking it out of that way. We know no matter what that's going to happen.
That's great.
I've seen some events where they have to come up with a large sum of money and they can't because they never planned ahead of time. Mm-hmm. We're planning ahead of time. That money goes in escrow. It's there. That way, when the time comes and we need to book all these tickets, it's there. The money's there. So that's one thing that I like that me and David came up with, is being able to do that. That way we can ensure that no matter what, that event will go on, period. I'm not going to try to give a trip away and then can't fly somebody out because the money's not there. No, that's not going to happen.
Hey, man, unfortunately, I've got to go. But before we head out, is there anything that you would like to say or anything you'd like to promote before we end this?
No, just us. Just give us a chance. Just do one event at least. And a lot of times, I think my pet peeve, what you're seeing a lot happen is that we post a competitor list. Don't look at that list thinking there's nobody in your division and don't sign up. Everybody else is doing that. So if you all do that, that's why we get 30, 40, 50, up to 70 people trying to register late, because now they see that people are in their division. Yeah. Just sign up. It'll all work out. If you don't have anybody in your division, I'll refund your money. Don't worry about it. You'll get your money back. I'm not trying to keep your money. So just register. And if something happens and you have to drop out, fine, we'll refund you your money. I don't want you to pay for something and not be able to do it. So that's the biggest thing. Everyone just give us a chance. Take a look at what we have. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, let me know. You can message me, send me an email, whatever. I'll speak to you. And if it's something that we can fix that will make sense and will make our events better, I will. Absolutely.
Marcos, you're the man. Thank you so much for doing this show, and good luck to you, and congrats for everything you've done already. You guys are
right.
doing great things.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course. Thanks again to Marcos for being on the show. I truly learned a lot in this episode. In fact, some of the little tips that he suggested I used when we were putting on the Matrix Invitational about 2 or 3 weeks after this episode was recorded. The things that he suggested really work. The little improvements on how you can make a tournament run more efficiently, they really do work, and they help you have a really smooth, really fun event. Make sure you check out Grappling Industries on Facebook and on their website, grapplingindustries.com. Go to matrix.com/podcast and you'll be able to see all the last episodes of the show and all the show notes. So, for example, this episode, if you were wishing that someone was taking notes, someone did, and that was me. And you can go check out those notes at matrix.com/podcast. You'll find links to all past episodes of the show on that website and, of course, on iTunes and Stitcher. If you want to support the show, please go to iTunes or Stitcher and give us a 5-star rating and a review. It's a very good way for people to find out more about the episodes and for them to reach more people. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting us this time that we've been doing the podcast. Special thanks to the guys who produce our music for this show. Thanks to Vinny Russo, whose beats you're hearing right now, and thanks to Waves Overhead for producing the theme music for the Matrix podcast. Links to both of those guys' music can be found on matrix.com. You'll be taken to either SoundCloud or Bandcamp, and you can make a donation to those guys if you want to support their music. One more time, give it up for Waves Overhead and their song.